Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Here with my movie review of In the Mouth of Madness, directed by John Carpenter, the horror master himself, starring Sam Neill. Uh, I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Cherrigan, Prochnow, Julie Carmen, David Warner, John Glover, Bernie Casey's in this thing, Peter Chase, yeah, Charlton Heston in this, Francis Bay. A lot of people are in this movie. I never want to come on here and just bash a movie to bash a movie. Is this movie's concept bad? No, not the concept of it. You have a writer's work who is coming to life. And I don't mind that. Hell, Dark Shadows had Charles Delaware Tate's paintings come to life. So I don't mind the creativity of that aspect. But you're also telling me that if you read his work, it comes to life. It just seemed like, and also it's not just his writings. Julie Carmen's Linda Stiles writes some stuff for his book too. So that's where this film sort of loses you a bit. I'm not saying completely. It's like, well, wait, is it just his writing or is it hers? Is it an imagination? This film, I do not love it. I think, first things first, I appreciate Sam Neill's John Trent to the degree of, okay, he's somebody who's out to prove that this is just some scam by the book company, that the guy's work is coming to life, that they're. And later on, Julie Carmen's character, Linda Stiles, admits, yeah, this initially I was to pull a publicity stunt, and uh, Prochnow's character is called Sutter Kane in this, and her and Sutter Kane were to pull like a publicity stunt, and she tells him this way later. That should have been, to me. I like the opening of this movie, Inside a Nut House. That's good. To me, the other part of this movie, when he's having dinner, like he's having like a dinner or something, and some guy comes through the window with an axe or something. Um, to me, Julie Carmen's character Linda Stiles should have should have met John Trent, and she should have been like, "This is not bullshit. His work has been coming to life ever since he wrote it." Well, I've heard some people say you have to read it. No, you don't have to read it. I know it's come to work because I pitched an idea to him and he used it. I mean, he paid me, but he fucking used it and it happened. It happened. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That plane crash flight, and she lists the flight. That happened. I picked the flight number at random. He wrote it. It happened. Whatever that man puts on paper happens." Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think that there would have fixed a lot of this movie's problems. Simply because the fact that the book company is trying to pull publicity stunt, and there's also a scene where Charlton Heston, he's the guy who's the head of the book company. He even forgets Sam Neill's character has ever been there. Linda Style, he like it never happened. Like John Trent, the character never came there. And again, I don't mind the concept of this movie. Does this movie ask you to believe a lot? Yeah, yeah, it does, and I think at times too much at once too. That this again, I don't mind the opening. I want to stress that this should have been told from Sutter Kane's standpoint, not John Trent's. That's who this story should have ran through, I feel. And you should have seen Sutter Kane, his earliest written stuff, and then him coming to the realization it's coming to life. That what he writes happens. That realization. And what does he do with it? Because by the time you actually meet Sutter Kane, you can tell he's a sadistic asshole. And honestly, the build up to meeting Sutter Kane isn't the most impressive thing either, and neither is the character is represented. And here's the thing: John Carpenter had Charlton Heston in this movie, and I refuse to believe this was lost on John Carpenter. Charlton Heston should have been Sutter Kane. Charlton Heston, the guy, the Omega Man. How do you not put the guy who played the Omega Man as your villain? Because that would not have been lost on audiences at all. Again, that type of decision would have really helped this movie, I feel. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and say Jurgen Prochnow is a bad actor. I just was not blown away by Sutter Kane as a character. To me, when I heard the name Sutter Kane, I saw Charlton Heston's name in his credits. I said, Chuck Heston is your dude. He's gotta be. And when I'm just like, so okay, who's Sutter Kane? And I'm just like, he's this young writer, and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't really blown away by his presence. I wasn't. He's got a great smirk, a great evil smile. The actor does a good job being this sadistic writer, for sure. I'm not taking anything away from him there. But a lot of this movie's problems begin with, yes, I buy the plot. The plot isn't all bad. They needed to change some things though. Just have him where he writes and it comes to life. It's not that hard of a concept. It's a concept I can get. I mean, I'm a DS fan, so I could easily get this. And because there's a confliction of all, either you read it and it happens. Well, then, by the way, his his books become movies. And I do think by the time you realize what John Trent realizes, it's not just what he writes on paper, it's what he writes for on screen as well. That's happening too. And it's like, okay, I buy it. But I also think too, by the time that happens, you're already. John Trent knows things are going to end badly, and I don't mind that part. But I also think them pulling this whole okey doke. Oh yeah, it was. We were gonna do this publicity stunt, and she's like trying to talk to him and reason with him. And I love the character I love most in this is Julie Carmen's Linda Stiles, who again this movie, more of her in this movie would have helped, and more at the beginning of, listen, it's real, it's all fucking real. They wanted me to do a publicity stunt. I'm not doing it. It's real. I quit the company. You can check yourself. And John Trent. I don't blame Sam Neill's John Trent for being a doubting Thomas. That's what he's paid. Again, his character is written that way. His character is initially written that way when he's looking into this nonsense, when he's looking into this stuff. But I also think that another problem with this movie is, okay, he clearly, if it's a publicity stunt, aren't events coming to fruition a little too often for it to just be a publicity stunt? And that there is sort of what, like, there's nobody who should be buying it's a publicity. Like, nobody should be buying that, right? It's one thing for John Trent to call it out, like, oh, this is just all publicity stunt. But when enough of these things happen together, come on now. Again, this movie has a lot of issues, and a lot of its issue to me too is actors just in the wrong roles. Again, Chuck Heston is your book dealer. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, that's my biggest complaint too. Again, I don't completely hate this movie either. It has some good quality, and some of the things I like about it is okay, you have a writer who can bring stuff to life. The psychology of that is fucking outstanding. Again, I like the nut ward scenes in the beginning. I like the scenes near the middle and end. But I also really, the part I appreciate most is how they, the part I appreciate most is how the parents in the town are saying this stuff that they're against him, right? Now that part I like. My thing is, if your work's coming to life, I like the town because what I take away from that, okay, maybe this town is sort of his base of operations. Maybe this was his test to see if it all really did come true. Him writing this town he lives in, him creating it, and that I like if that's the case. I don't know if it is because that was my interpretation when I watched this movie a dozen times already. Is this movie dog shit horrible? No, not that horrible. But I do feel John makes some pretty clear errors in here that are just head scratching. It's like you really don't need Julie Carmen to admit this late. Because you can tell. I don't know who John or the writer is trying to fool when you're waiting that long to admit that it's not a publicity stunt. When you've already had the opening of this movie and you've had the setting of a guy coming through glass trying to kill somebody. Why are you now trying to sell that this is a publicity stunt? Why are you again, Julie Carmen's character should have been no, listen to me. This is real. This is real. And again, I think it would have made John Trent the saving grace should have been John Trent. Not really saving grace. Again, I don't mind the way the movie ended, but John Trent coming to the realization she's telling him the truth. That should have been the horror of it. And that's where you would have met Charlton Heston, Sutter Kane, they go to the town, and they both, as they're talking, they make it to the church or whatever. Then in walks Chuck Heston, and he's got the book. Well, you made it. The only reason I allowed you to make it is because you're with her. Because, see, I wrote that too. And that's sort of like, he wrote all this. All this was his will. And that there is the horror. You have the puppet and puppet master. You have the puppet master literally standing right there, controlling every aspect of whatever the hell he wants. That is true fucking horror. I'll be generous because I don't think this is completely bad. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I do think there's some good quality of the film, but the story it needed worked over. They needed to change some things. Hope you enjoyed the review. Bye.